Now, inflation hitting double digits and soaring energy prices. For some people watching, they will have seen all of this before, 50 years ago in 1972, to be exact. The Tory government back then was led by Prime Minister Edward Heath.
Petrol shortages and increases in food prices were rife and energy blackouts were regular, something the current government has called a worst-case scenario for now. Jane Hesketh has been to meet people at Age UK in Leicester to hear about their memories and the similarities between what happened 50 years ago and what's happening right now.
1972. If you could afford the petrol, a brand new Ford Cortina would set you back £963. A pint in your local was 14p and a packet of cigarettes smoked inside the pub was 25 pence. And Brian Clough was in his heyday at Derby County.
And down he goes, and it's put there for a goal for Derby County.
Like now, inflation had hit double figures and the price of everyday foodstuffs and energy was rising rapidly.
Every time the British housewife goes shopping, she gets a new shock with the price rises.
Since the pandemic, many more people are working from home to save on fuel. But in 1972, the miners' strike led to electricity cuts to homes and businesses, and the government imposing a 3-day week. At this sequence dancing session at Age UK, they remember it well.
I remember the blackouts. In fact, we bought candles then, and I still have some of those same candles now in my garage from 1972, because we didn't need them after that.
72, a 3-day week. I remember that because I was at work and you sometimes went in, sometimes you didn't. Everybody were financially hard up in those days.
To get our dole money, we had to go snow clearing. And we had to clear the snow off the roads into these big wagons. And then they were dumped, the ice was dumped into the canal, would you believe? And but unless we didn't get our money from our dole money until we took our shovels back.
The government has resisted calls by groups like the Energy Saving Trust to impose restrictions on energy use, as they have in parts of Europe. But the National Grid say they can't rule it out in a worst-case scenario like in 72 if we can't import the gas and electricity we need.
When the power went off, it just went dark. You know, and we did have candles and things, but we didn't have electric heating or anything like that. We had coal fires. You look at the situation and you adapt, and that's the only way to do it, is just adapt, which I think a lot of people now wouldn't know how to do because they're so used to switching a light on and turning the gas on. They wouldn't know what's going to happen when it does actually happen, whether or not we get these power cuts that they're talking about. But candles are a good thing to stock up on.
60, 89, 89.
Well, I remember when the electricity strikes were on, power cuts, and we're having to come home on the bus in the jet black, which wasn't very nice, you know, for anybody. I mean, you imagine how the drivers felt, driving cars, driving buses, when there's no power, no street lighting and nothing. That's the thing I remember most.
We had only a gas fire. We couldn't afford having a central heating in the house, so it was a gas fire in the lounge. So we had to shower up, come and stay downstairs in the warm, extra layers of clothes, you know, sleeping with woolly hats, gloves, socks. It was very cold then, in the early 70s, yes.
There's a stoicism to this generation who brought up their families at a time of huge political unrest, strikes, energy restrictions and below inflation wage increases.
We'll survive. We are survivors. All the people that were here this afternoon, they're survivors. They survived the war years. And if we can survive that, we can survive anything.
Jane Hesketh, ITV News.